Welcome to The Business of Family, the podcast where we explore the stories, challenges, and opportunities of family businesses. I'm your host, Tammy Buss, and I'm a family business survivor and also a family business advisor. In this show, we will be talking with family business leaders and experts to bring you insights and inspiration so you too can survive your family business journey. Whether you're a founder, a successor, a professional, or just curious about family businesses, this podcast is for you. Today, we're rewinding the tape and bringing you one of our most impactful conversations from the past. These are the episodes that started it all: foundational stories, powerful insights, and timeless lessons from families in business, experts in the field, and leaders who've shaped the way we think about legacy. Whether you're tuning in again or hearing it for the first time, there's always something to take away. So let's hit play on today's Legacy on Repeat. Welcome, Martha.
Thanks for having me, Tammy.
So Martha is an investment advisor with National Bank. She works with her dad. I thought it would be a good topic to have about, investment advisors and people that really don't think of that as a family business. So first question, Martha, is did you always want to work with either your mother or your father in their industries?
No, I think that I didn't really have a grasp of what they did until late teens, early 20s, and how they serviced their clients. It really took me joining the business in different capacities and different roles and for other people to understand what they did day to day. And then it started planting that seed in my head that, do you know what, maybe there's a fit for me here in some capacity of the business or the financial services industry.
And I think that's the key focus is the financial services industry, because we never think of it as being a family business or potential family business. And I think as first generations, we don't talk about it very much. We don't really talk to our kids like you would if it was a restaurant or a manufacturing or something like that. So tell me a little bit about how you ended up working with your dad, because I know that you went off to France for school and was very surprised actually when you came back, because I've known Martha for a lot of years. She's like a daughter to me. So tell me a little bit about how you ended up really coming back to work with your dad in a serious capacity.
So it started out as a bit of a summer job, and it wasn't actually with my father's group. One of the advisors approached him in the office, and I think it was probably my summer between grade 12 and first year university, or maybe even the summer before that, and said, hey, we just need someone to tackle a summer admin project on our team. Do you know anyone, or would Martha like to come into the office and fill that role? So I actually started with another advisor, and I was filing and scanning. And then, and I thought it was pretty cool because I was in a financial services office before I was even in university, and maybe the best paid grade 12 student in school. That summer. But anyways, I did that and I liked it. I liked the office environment. And then from there, I kept working every single summer at the firm for different advisors, again, tackling different projects that they had on their team that were primarily administrative. Then, as you said, Tammy, I did go to France and did a master's in data analytics. And I thought while I was there, and even before that, maybe I would come back and join full-time as an advisor, because I had a good understanding from all my summers at the office that is a real entrepreneurial position, that there are a bunch of different facets of the job that interested me. So when I was in France, I thought, do you know what, when I come back, I will join full-time. And that's what I ended up doing. But it did take a lot of summers to realize that.
Now, do you think that the financial services industry, or, particularly your dad, do you think it's a family business, or do you consider it a practice?
I think now we consider it a family business because it is father-daughter, and we are a partnership now. So from the respect in today's lens, yes. Growing up, no. I didn't think of his practice as a family business. I just thought that this is what he does, and eventually he'll retire from that role. I never even thought of who the business will transition to. And it never crossed my mind that it staying in the family would be an option. But as I said, once I started working at the firm and realizing that it could be an option, and that there are a lot of other advisors who have their children in the business, that maybe it would be something I'd want to do.
Do you think in general that the brokerage world advisors really consider their block of business a potential family business or more of an income generator?
I think every business is unique. And I think there are definitely advisors in this business who view their block of business as a legacy and something that they would love to have a child come in and take over in some capacity and see that for generations. And then there's other advisors you come across who say, do you know what? I don't want my children in this business. I would like to sell it and move on and have my children explore other paths.
You know, that's interesting because regardless of the industry, and I've worked with family business for many, many years, is that every first generation or second generation parent says the same thing, regardless of the industry. You know, I don't want my kids to come in, because we think about all the struggles of getting a business up and running. And that seems to be the hardest part, right? Mm-hmm. But when you bring in the next generation or you sell it off, all that hard work, all those years of building the client base or the processes or the systems or your reputation is now handed over to somebody else. Do you think that that's a downfall of the financial services industry, or, you know, any industry where it's an advice giving, that we tend to see it as an income and not really a potential family business because we don't talk about it with our kids as they're growing up?
Is it a downfall? I don't think so. I think it's good for the advisor, if they have children, to share what they do and share the opportunity. But I really do believe that the child needs to want it and want to join that business and service the clients and have a passion for it. If that's there, then it's an awesome opportunity to be able to come in and join. But if it's not, I don't think it should be a forced.
Not forced, but do you think that, you know, that industry in general doesn't do a good job sort of explaining what we do and how we benefit the, you know, the clients, the community? You know, because how do you learn about the business unless, you know, in your case, you got hired as a summer student, but, you know, did your brother have the opportunities, or was it, you know, just something that the opportunity came up and now I actually understand the business and I want to stay in it?
Right. Yeah. I think that, I guess, the industry could do a better job with explaining the roles and the opportunities that could be available in wealth management. I think that a lot of people get their start because they have a close family tie in the business, a parent or a family friend, or they're exposed to it in some way through their personal life. I think it's tough to join the business if you don't have that connection, because it's hard to have a true understanding of what you can do within the industry. My brother had a good example of what you can do in the wealth management industry and the different roles that are available, but just no interest. And
right.
It wasn't the path for him, and that's okay. And as Doug would say, and that's my father, is the business is for sale to the right person at the right price. So
right. Now, and I think that's very common with family businesses, regardless of the type of family business, that you have children in the business and not in the business. Now, because you are working with your dad every day, and there's the benefits of being an employee of the business or a partner in the business versus being a family member, that you get perks and benefits by being on the business side. Is there any animosity or any issues with, you know, your brother saying, well, Martha gets this, but hey, that's part of your job. You're paid to do this role. This is a family, you know, expense, or this is a family benefit. Is there anything like that?
No, I mean, you'd have to ask him, but I think that he would say no. The opportunity was open to both of us.
Right.
If we showed interest and we took that path, and through our education and through our post-secondary studies and then wanted to join, the opportunity was always there. And it wasn't for him. So the fact that it was for me, I don't think there's any animosity. And I was an employee and now a partner, and that is discussed within the business and not really the home.
Right. Now, because that's interesting, because again, I think for our listeners, that happens a lot, right? Where you have children in and not, as I've mentioned. And how does that play out in the family dynamics? So it's good to know that there is none. And potentially that's going to be for others, because maybe families will think that, well, if one comes in and one doesn't, how's that going to work? And I think it's open and honest communication is important.
Right. And I think that there might be this preconceived notion too with family business in general, that if one child enters the business might be gifted, or there is that huge financial upside of getting the business. And in our case, I mean, maybe other cases, this is not the same, but in our case, that's not true. The business will be bought and there will be a loan, and it's earned too, right? Through work. So if there was going to be a transition from the business to either my brother and I, it would have to make sense. And for me, it makes sense. And for him, it doesn't. And I think that's why it works for our family.
So that being said, because your brother has no interest in the business and you are in the business and you are partners, so it's not 100% yours, it's not 100% your dad's. Do you actually have a written agreement stating that if he passed away, that you had that opportunity to buy it before it, transition to the value transition to your mom?
That's a good question. So currently in our situation, there is not a formal agreement that if my dad passed before the transition, that it'd be passed to me, but there is a firm understanding that it would. There is an agreement in the process of being drafted between my father and I and our dealer that if he were passed, that I would be the person to buy it. But then again, we're also in the process of buying a chunk of the business. So then naturally it would come to me. So
do you think it's important to have these agreements in writing so that if something happened that, your mom or your brother maybe have different ideas? Do you think it's important that families between father, daughter, or whatever the combination is, have agreements in place that are formalized?
Definitely. And it's something that is a hot topic in our industry too, with advisors aging, is what happens if something happens to them, and what's the implication to their spouse with the sale of the business, because the dealer does direct the sale. So having those agreements in place, especially in our industry, is very important. So that's why we're in the process of having that done.
So when you have other industries, there's also, could be franchises, could be a number of things where there's somebody who, has to approve all this stuff. So do you have to, as a first, going from first to second, and, until the transition is fully complete, do you have those conversations with the dealership or the franchise owner or whoever? Do you think that's important to have that done early so that people are made aware of this is what we're working on, and then, by the way, we're getting this formalized in writing?
Yes, I think it's very important to bring in the dealer to facilitate conversations about the transition, especially on the financial side. And those conversations should start happening as soon as you know who the business is passing to, or who wants to buy the business.
Right.
And that is when you bring them into the conversation, and they help facilitate the buy sell of the business.
So how long did you work for your dad or work with your dad before you started talking about transition or ownership change or buying the block of business? How long did that take? Or when did it start, I guess?
It started when I came back from my master's program and I joined the business full time. Now, when I joined the business full time, I was actually an associate for someone else for a year, covering a mat leave, learning the business from the ground up on the assistant side. But I came back knowing that was my intention. And that was my path is to become an advisor and then slowly transition the business as he goes towards retirement. So it happened once I was full time, never really when I was just working in the summer.
And how long do you think the runway should be between going to work in, the business with a parent before you actually start that transition? Is there any kind of magical time, or, maybe you change your mind 3 months in, or?
I think there's two factors to that. I would say blanket statement 3 years for a child to come in, build connections with the clients, genuine connections, and learn the practice, all of the operations side. And really it's a steep learning curve for everything that wealth advisors do. But also I think it depends on the age of your child coming in, because if you have someone coming in maybe in their 40s and they're late to join the business and start transitioning it, age helps, right?
Right. Yes. Having started in the industry very young. Yeah, I get that.
Right. So and we always joke, having gray hair in the room instills confidence in people.
Do you need me to go into your meetings?
Instills confidence that this person has been around for a long time. So when you are young, I would say you do need a bit longer of a runway to prove yourself and show that you actually do know what you're talking about and you can service your clients. Where if you're a bit older joining the business and wiser, then a bit shorter of a time, but 3 years is my...
So what is the biggest stumbling block, you think, or what is your biggest source of, frustration in working with a parent that, say, you didn't have working with that other advisor or those other advisors in your learning years?
Oh, I don't know if this is a stumbling block or a positive, but I think when you have a parent-child dynamic, you're a lot quicker to the point, or if you're passionate about something, and there's a disagreement on that. So if I have an idea that I would like to bring to the table at the business, and let's say my father doesn't quite see the vision, you can push that envelope further than you would with a typical employer. Right.
And do you use both cards, both the child card and the partner card? Like, what hat are you wearing when you're talking about this? Do you go, "Oh, Dad, I really think," or do you say, "Doug, I think"? Do you use the dad sometimes?
I use Doug.
Oh, do you? All the time?
I use Doug in the office. Dad at home, Doug in the office. But I think that when you're a child, you know your parent, right? And they know you. Yeah. And you know how to push each other's buttons.
Oh, yes.
Right? So I think it's our strength, because when I'm passionate about something or he's passionate about something, we can be have a bit more wind in our sails to prove the other person that this is a path we should take. But it can cause points of contention. But I'm very lucky. My dad and I have a great relationship, and we're...
Oh, that's good.
We're good in the office.
Do you ever have to bring in your mom? Or put something in your mom's ear to tell your dad because you're maybe not getting what you want?
No, do you know what? My mom talks about the business with us to the point of, how was your day? Our business is very confidential in nature, right? So we're not talking about the office more than we're talking about than you would with anybody with their job. Just how's it going? But
bad day, computer went down, spent all day trying to, blah, blah, blah.
But going into the details of, I really fought with your husband today about this new marketing approach I would like to take. No, we really do leave it at the office, and she's pretty removed.
That's good. Leaving it in the office is very important. Again, it's remembering what hat you're wearing. And, if there's going to be a business meeting, then it's a business meeting, and the business meeting isn't held at the dining room table to make everybody else uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. And so what do you think the advantages are, or that you had coming into this, and that other, kids, second gens of first gen advisors, can look forward to? What are some of the advantages?
Well, I think the advantage is, if you have a parent in the industry and this is what you want to do, that's a huge advantage, right? Because there is an actual business that you can join and transition. If you don't have that, it's a tough road to build from scratch. I think another advantage too is you see the work, right? You've seen the work to build the business growing up. You've seen sacrifices being made to build that business, and you've seen the stress of being an entrepreneur. And so having seen it, you know what goes into it, right? You're not going in blind. And you also see how that impacts your family because you grew up in it. So when I have children one day, then I will have a bit more perspective of maybe how my children view my work or any stresses or busy times.
Now, would you do something different with your kids? Because now you've been through it, and again, like in my particular case, I think if you've listened to my previous podcast, my boys have said, even my husband, that we didn't talk about it early enough. And again, I think that's because we didn't realize it was a family business, which most first generations don't really think it is a family business. But now that you are a second generation in this business, is this something that you could see wanting to talk more about with your kids as they got older, to understand what you do?
Yeah, I think my parents did a good job speaking about what they do. It's a tough job to understand when,
it is.
when you're young. But I think they did a good job about sharing what they did. And fortunately, because I was there in the summer, I got to see it firsthand. If I wasn't, would have we talked about it and I would have had it in my head that maybe this would be a path? Maybe not. Right? Maybe those conversations wouldn't have happened if I. So
the summer was a good
experience.
Learning. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. So, and working for other people.
Right.
Was in that industry was fantastic. But I for my family, I will definitely be speaking about it earlier and for them to have a good understanding about what I do, but no pressure to join. Right. I think it's important to explore your path and come to that decision on your own. And I never had the pressure of buying the business or taking it over. And even once I was full-time in the business, that pressure still wasn't there until I really decided.
Well, that's good, because I think what's important to other family businesses is to understand that it's not that every child will come into the business or they're forced to. What's important is to talk about the opportunities, what's there. You don't have to be the best advisor. Maybe you want to be the one who runs the social media, runs the office, be the office manager. Like, there's lots of other opportunities. And I think that's part of the struggle with first to second, is they go, well, my kids aren't really interested, but do they know the opportunities? And I think having worked the summers, you got to see the different opportunities and aspects of, the investment world. So I just have one last thing to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to other second gens, so kids of advisors, investment advisors? What is the one piece of advice you would give them about being a second gen in the investment space?
My one piece of advice, and I tell this to a lot of prospective people who want to join the business, is work from the ground up, be an associate, because you can't manage a team unless you know what they do. Right. And you also need to be able to be a bit self-sufficient some days if people are on vacation. So being an associate is the best thing I ever did, and working for other advisors. So when I worked as I said, in the summers or my first year full time for different groups, I saw different processes. Right. And different ways of money management, and teams that put a lot of emphasis on financial planning, and maybe other teams who put a lot of emphasis on marketing or client events or what have you. So I got to see a bunch of different successful businesses and how they ran, and then take that back to our family business and apply it. And that was crucial for me, because my father's been in this business for 35 years, Tammy. I say 35 years. So he has his way of doing things, and it works for him. But having my eyes opened to other possibilities that I can bring back has only made us stronger. That's amazing. I think that's very valuable advice. Thank you for that. Anyway, I want to say thank you. Our time's up. I want to thank you very much for coming in, Martha. So if people wanted to reach out to you, where would they be able to find you? So you can find me a couple places. So our group is called the Douglas MacDonald Wealth Management Group at National Bank Financial. If you give that a Google, you'll find us. And then I'm also very active on Instagram under the handle investher.wealth, spelled INVESTHER.wealth. And I'm posting financial education content on there. So you can find me. I know I've been on that site. It's a great site. You post really good information. Thank you for that. So anyway, thank you again for coming in. And if you want to reach out to Martha, you can find her you can Google her, or you can find her on Instagram. So thank you very much. Thanks, Tammy. If you like this episode, subscribe to the Business of Family podcast on your favorite listening platform. You can also find Blue Roots on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. On the next show, I'll be back with another amazing guest who will inspire you with their family business insights. Until then, take care and keep it in the family. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, tax, investment, or insurance advice. Before acting on any advice, please contact your personal or company advisors.